Welcome to the newest episode of Life Lessons in Hindsight, where we explore the wisdom that comes from looking back. I'm Teresia, a life and mindset coach for women over 40. Like you, I've navigated life's highs and lows and worn many hats, from nurse practitioner to chemical engineer, and started over more times than I can count. This podcast is for women ready to embrace self-compassion, learn from the past, and step boldly into their next chapter. Join me as we share stories, reflect, and discover the art of turning hindsight to foresight. Hello, what's up? I hope you're doing well. It's spring over here, and I just love the spring. I'm looking outside my window, and there are all these trees with their fresh, new little bright green leaves and such beautiful flowers. This stuff makes me so happy. Okay, so you are here because you're interested in thought work. You want to learn how to have a better relationship with yourself and others. You want to learn how to use your mind to do the things you want. And you probably want to understand why the hell you keep doing things you don't want. And I bet underneath it all, you just want to feel better. I know that's what I'm constantly trying to do. I'm always trying to learn and practice how to feel better in my own skin. And I'm always trying to figure out ways to help the women I coach do the same. As a life coach, I read a lot of self-help stuff. And one of the things I like is when authors use tons of examples that illustrate how exactly to do this thought work. It's one thing to read something and understand it conceptually, but it's a whole other ballgame to be able to use that information and apply it to your day-to-day. Like, great, I've read it and it sounds good, but what am I supposed to do tomorrow? So I promise to share some practical tips, tools with this episode and all episodes really. I want to show you how I do thought work and how my clients do it too. It's messy stuff. Most of the time it feels like one step forward and 10 steps back. Most of the time you reflexively do the thing you don't want, just to remember after the fact, I was supposed to do that other thing. Then if you're like me, you go back and ask for a do-over. And you look kind of crazy when you do. It's like shouting at your kids, not giving them a chance to talk, and then storming out of a room. Just to remember that you are working on having better communication with them, on listening, learning, and guiding. And that your anger, well, anger is a distraction from that. Then you go back to the room and sheepishly have the conversation that you wanted to have in the first place. And all the while your teenagers are looking at you like you've literally lost your mind. How do I know? I do that all the time. But that's it. That's thought work. You keep trying to do better again and again until you eventually change. That's the process. So for today's episode, I want to talk about those thoughts that pop up in our minds and create a lot of negative emotions that stress us out. I want to give you a process for how to deal with them and turn them into something much more empowering. I'm not going to talk about why we have these thoughts. I think we just do. I read somewhere that we have anywhere from 30 to 60,000 thoughts a day. I mean, that's a lot of thinking. I also read that most of these thoughts are just the same, like this running loop. So it sounds like, one, we generally spend a lot of time thinking, and two, we waste a lot of that time by thinking about the same old stuff. Our minds are not that efficient if left to their own devices. Okay, as always, I have a story for you. The other day, I was walking around, minding my own business. Then I had this random thought come to me. It wasn't even related to anything that I was doing. And I was in a pretty good mood that day. Has that ever happened to you, where you just have this arbitrary thought that just is chucked in your mind from wherever, like a grenade exploding and causing all sorts of confusion? Well, that's what it felt like. So here's the thought that brought all my troubles that day. And the thought was, I am getting old. It was that simple. I'm getting old. But the feelings that came with that thought, wow, they were really dramatic. I felt so stressed. It was like dread mixed with a sprinkle of anxiety. It was all of a sudden and really weird. So here's what my brain did next. Remember, I was just chilling, minding my business. Then this intruder of a thought comes through, coupled with some unnecessary negative feelings. So I go, Where from? Then I proceed to have this whole ass dialogue with myself. I know you know exactly what I mean. When you argue with yourself, all by yourself. Part of me was pissed. Like, you, sir, explain yourself. How are you going to come in here and cause all these problems? Then I chilled after a while and asked myself, Teresia, what is this all about? You see, I'm 47, and honestly, aging has never really bothered me. Birthdays come and go, and I feel like, okay, another year, what are we going to do? I mean, I'm aware that time is passing, but until this day, it's never really bothered me. At least not like I've seen aging bother other people. Up to this point, aging was like this inevitable thing, and therefore silly to worry about. I mean, it's literally happening every second, every minute. We wake up older than we were the day before. Like, aging is happening right now. So I've always felt that what's the point of fighting it? There's nothing that we can really do. It's going to happen. And that's truly how I felt until this thought. This thought had me afraid. I was legitimately scared. I felt fear in my body, and that bothered me. As someone who struggles with anxiety, I made a decision a long time ago that I won't let scary thoughts go without some level of scrutiny. Anxiety and scary thoughts have caused me a lot of stress. So I say to them, you are not coming into this house, meaning my mind, without explaining yourself. Like, if I'm going to be scared, I need to like the reason why I'm scared. It needs to make sense, and I need to believe in it. So that's step one for dealing with thoughts that come into our minds and cause us to feel unwanted negative emotions. You've got to scrutinize them. They need to be investigated. So, back to my story. I thought to myself, if you're saying that you're afraid of aging, what exactly are you afraid of? What about aging is so scary to you? And I did this exercise of giving myself a bunch of scenarios and deciding if that was the problem. So, for example, was it physical aging? As in, am I concerned that my body is physically getting older and showing it? Is that what's making me afraid? I thought about this for a minute. I mean, there's the weight. I want to lose quite a bit of weight. I wanted to for a few years. I can blame my size a little bit on perimenopause, but if I'm honest, I gotta check my diet and move more. My weight can't be blamed solely on aging and perimenopause alone. I think I'm here because of years of bad habits and bad coping mechanisms coming home to roost. I may have been able to get away with eating like shit, for example, back in the day, but that's not something I can do at 47. I just need to take better care of myself. And thank God I've gotten my stress levels and my sleep under control. But generally, when it comes to weight, I feel like I know how to solve this problem. I'm clear about what I need to do next, and I'm okay with my current pace. So if it's not weight, then what was it? Was it wrinkles and changing skin? Okay, this one is a lot. But I don't know that it's a current problem that's big enough to make me feel as anxious as I felt. I mean, I'm not losing sleep over it yet. But I can see a time when I'd feel some kind of way about aging skin for sure. But right now, I see some fine lines here and there, deep smile lines, or whatever you call them, slightly deeper furrows in my forehead. And I'm all up in the facial serums. I have added a few more steps to my skincare routine. But currently, I draw the line with more invasive stuff like microneedling, Botox fillers. I'm not there yet. And frankly, I don't know that I ever will be. But I do like the fact that I check in with myself occasionally to see if I need to step up my game in a non-stressful way. And I've always taken care of my skin, cleansing, exfoliating, moisturizing, hydration, minimizing sun exposure, basic stuff. So I feel like I'm okay in this department. The grays, on the other hand, the grays on my hair are probably the most annoying thing right now. I mean, I have a lot of grays. But I feel as though I'm managing. It's more hair appointments to color my hair, more money spent. It's irritating, for sure. But I think it's doable. On and on I went this way, asking myself questions and trying to figure out the thought behind the thought, trying to understand what was causing the feeling of fear within me. I wasn't buying the idea that I am aging, that the thought I am aging alone was making me so scared. Something specific about aging had to be the problem, and I was determined to sniff it out. These questions I asked myself may seem simple and maybe even silly. But remember, you have 30 to 60,000 thoughts a day, so you might as well make them purposeful and make them work for you. You also need to be vigilant about questioning bullshit thoughts. How do you know they're bullshit thoughts? These are the thoughts that make you feel like crap. They make us feel terrible. They slowly sap our energy. They make us feel lousy when we think about them over and over again. And remember, our brains like to think about the same stuff. We are repetitive creatures. So we need to be careful of what we are saying to ourselves, because these repetitive thoughts, these thoughts will become our habits and eventually our identity. And I know for sure that I was not trying to be a woman in midlife who was afraid of getting old. That's not where I want to spend my time or my energy. So I kept going on like that, asking myself why, what is it, until I found a thought that felt really heavy. This is the purpose of investigating your thoughts, to find the thought that's really causing you problems. For me, this thought was, I am running out of time. This was the thing that bothered me the most about aging. I felt scared that I won't have enough time to do all the things that I wanted to do. That for the first time, it dawned on me that I had spent more years on Earth than I would likely spend in the future. That I had less time ahead of me than I did behind me. Even now, as I think about it, it makes me a little sad. And I've never had to think about it before. Like it wasn't even a thing. My mind always felt like there was plenty of time. But now, here I was, scared about time all running out. So I did this exercise that I like to do with my clients. It's something I learned when I trained to be a life coach. It's a tool that helps you play out a thought all the way so that you can consider how a thought impacts your behavior or how you act. Then you can decide if that thought is working for you and if you want to keep it. If there's one thing I want you to take away from today's episode, it's that your thoughts about anything are optional. You learned how to think the way you do. And the good thing is that the same way you learned to think the way you do, you can unlearn it. For example, in my situation, I get to decide how I want to think about aging. And I don't need to go with the first choice my brain offers me either. In this case, the first pass was kind of crap, and it was making me feel all kinds of awful, and I didn't like that. But before I choose new thoughts about aging that are more empowering and useful to me, I needed to break down why the thought I am aging and the deeper thought I am running out of time were problematic to begin with. On the side, this ability to analyze how you think, to think about your thinking, is critical if you want to live in harmony with yourself and if you want to transform or grow or change. There are all sorts of fancy words for this thinking about your thinking, like metacognition or introspection. But this is basically how we become more self-aware, by questioning our thoughts, by investigating our thoughts, by understanding the impact of our thinking to our own selves, to how we show up in our relationships with others, to how we show up for our goals and the things we want to accomplish. Otherwise, we're just swimming in a soup of 30 to 60,000 thoughts every single day and just mindlessly reacting to them without even asking ourselves if that's how we want to think, or understanding that there is a cost to our thinking in the first place. I didn't want to fear aging. I didn't want the fear of aging itself to take root in me. And the only way I knew how to do that was by challenging my own reflexive thinking. So here's the exercise that I did that day. Number 1, identify your thought and how it makes you feel. Keep it simple. Just one thought and one key feeling. That's it. In my case, the thought was, I'm running out of time. And the feeling that thought conjured was deep fear. These two parts are important, your thoughts and your feelings, because thoughts and feelings together impact what we do. It impacts how we behave. Think about it this way. Angry people have angry thoughts that make them do angry things. Happy people? Well, they have happy thoughts, right? And they tend to do more pleasant things as a result. You are no different. There's a congruence of your thoughts and your feelings and how you act, meaning we act in accordance with our thoughts and feelings. There's alignment there. There's alignment between how you think and feel and how you act. I'm not saying that we never want to be afraid or to have negative emotions. I mean, if something sad happens to me, I want to be sad. But I'm not trying to be terrified of aging, for example. That just doesn't sound like a useful situation. Okay, hopefully you're with me. If not, go back and listen because this part about thoughts and feelings is pretty important. Part 2, list all the behaviors that your thought and feeling combo produce. We're not going for perfectionism here. Just list what comes to mind. For me, this is how it went. If I'm thinking about aging and that main thought that I am running out of time gives me a deep sense of fear, how would I act? How would I behave in the world if that's how I was thinking and feeling? For one thing, I know when I'm afraid, I tend to think about the thing that I'm afraid of a lot, which makes me more afraid and eventually anxious. That's not a good place to be. Also, when I'm preoccupied with the thing that I'm afraid of, I'm not free. My mind is not free to think of how I intentionally want to spend my time. So this made no sense. I mean, if I'm afraid of time running out, wouldn't I want to spend my time thinking about what I want to do with the time that I have left? If I'm afraid of time running out, wouldn't I want to plan and to be efficient about how I'm using my time? So when I'm afraid, I also tend to get stuck. And getting stuck seems like the last thing I needed to be doing. When I'm afraid, I also tend to look at everything from a perspective of fear. So did I want to spend the rest of my apparently limited time here on Earth scared? I made a long list of how this version of me would behave. This version of me that was afraid of time running out on her as she aged. I listed it all. And as I reflected, I noticed that this thinking felt so helpless and disempowered. The more I contemplated, the more I was clear that this is not the way I'm trying to be. In fact, this kind of thinking seemed like it would be a little dangerous if it were to ever take root. Here's the thing, you have to pick apart your thoughts. I choose to spend my 30 to 60,000 thoughts a day making a case for the version of me that I want to be to my own self. So here's the summary for today. Pay attention to your thoughts, especially those that cause problematic, big negative emotions. If the thought doesn't match your emotion, dig a little deeper and ask yourself why, until you find the true thought that matches that emotion. Then ask yourself how you would show up in the world if you walked around thinking and feeling that way. Sit with it, play it out, write the list, and decide if you like that version of you. This exercise is a form of what I call mental hygiene, where you clean up your thinking and remove those thoughts that you don't want and the thoughts that are not serving you. Because negative thoughts sap energy that you can use to work on your goals, work on your relationships, energy that you can use to just experience life and enjoy it. If you do not challenge your negative thinking, those thoughts can easily take root, and suddenly that becomes who you are. But the good news is that we learn to think the way we do. So the same way we learn to have certain thinking patterns, we can unlearn it too. But the only way this works is if we are more self-aware, if we pay more attention to our thoughts, if we analyze them and decide if we want to keep them. All right, that's all I got for you today. Until next time, take care. Thank you for joining me on Life Lessons in Hindsight. Your time and attention mean the world to me. If you found today's episode insightful, please consider prescribing and share it with a friend who may need a little inspiration. Don't forget to visit the show notes for more resources and connect with me on Instagram at Coaching with Teresia. Remember, every single thing happens for a reason. Just find the lesson and you'll be okay. Take care.